Hello, my name is Charles McCall, and I have lived in Cambodia for about 27 years now. And during all of these years, I've been the senior director, the assistant director, the advisor, trainer, and I've had many roles, mostly involved with organizations, but also in an advisory capacity to churches and businesses and schools as well. And so I want to share with you about making decisions and choosing priorities. How do we know that we're making the right decision? And how do we choose priorities? Well, everything begins with vision. If your entity, if your school, church, business, or organization does not have a clear vision of where you're going and what you see for the future, it will be very difficult to make strategic decisions. This, by the way, is part of my strategic planning course and my annual planning course that I provide to churches, schools, organizations, and businesses. And so if you see the chart, this is the process that we must go through. All right? First comes the vision. Everything that we do, every dollar that we spend, every decision that we make must be in line with the vision of the entity. If it is not, then it will distract us, it will take us away, and we will not be as effective. After vision comes goals. Goals help us to fulfill the vision. And so you can have long-term goals, and you can have annual goals. And so what I like to focus on is to help organizations, business, schools, and churches make annual goals and help them to stay focused on those annual goals. And so, by the way, annual goal setting comes before annual budget planning. We do not plan the budget and then plan the goals. That's the opposite. The budget comes from the goals. We decide what do we want to do in the next year, and then we ask how much is it going to cost. If we start with the budget, then we limit our goals. We put a limit on our goals. All right? And so we establish goals for the entity, and they need to be SMART goals. All right? This is another lesson that I have. We're not going to do it here, but SMART goals. They need to be SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-oriented. And so we need to have SMART goals for each department. And so the director might have SMART goals for the entire entity. The director, the boss, the president, the senior leader might have a SMART goals for the entire entity, but every department needs to have SMART goals. And so if you're in an organization, and maybe you have a community development, they have their SMART goals. Maybe education, they have their SMART goals. And maybe you have another aspect, whatever it might be. We have education, we have community outreach or community development. And so, but whatever the department is, even finance and administration should have their own SMART goals. And so every department should have their own SMART goals. And so that means the department head and some of the staff in that department, they get together and they discuss what do they want to see for the end of next year. And that's how we do it. And they create SMART goals. And then when you come up with the SMART goals, you ask when. When are we going to do this? And so you get your calendar for the next year and you write the month. You can at least write the month. Sometimes it's difficult to write the exact day, but you can write the month. We want to do 3 seminars. We want to do 3 healthcare checkups. We want 3 staff training or staff development opportunities. And so you put the month of the following year that you want to do them. And then ask how. Goal is what you want to achieve to move the vision forward. Strategy is how are you going to do it. So I want 3 seminars, all right? What do I need to do for the seminars? I need to decide the subject. I need to decide probably who's going to do it. I need to decide the place and the location. I need to gather the supplies. And then you can ask yourself, the staff, who do I need to help me? The problem, you do not want the senior director to do all of this. This is one thing that makes many entities weak. The senior director is usually smart, has a great vision, and has a lot of ability, but the senior director, the senior leader, does not want to do all of this. The senior leader must, the priority for any entity, if it's a business or school, a church, or an organization, your priority must be to develop the capacity of your staff. And that's what I do, and that's what my associates do, is that we focus on developing the capacity of the staff, all right? And so who do you need to do it? Do you need to hire staff? Or can you do it with volunteers to do all of this? And then you delegate it to them. And then you ask the question, how much does it cost for one seminar? How much will it cost for 3 seminars? How much will it cost for 3 healthcare outreaches? How much will it cost to support 200 children? All right, to sponsor 200 children or to travel to a different location. How much will it cost? So first comes the goal and the strategy, and then you discuss how much is it going to cost, the budget. And so this is an example. SMART goals for each department. This is an example, only an example for organization. Okay, we want 400 children graduating from our schools by December 31st, 2022. Okay, it's a SMART goal. It is specific, 400, and it is time-oriented, December 31st. All right, and is it attainable? That is the question. Can your school graduate 400 children? Number 2, we want 2 healthcare outreaches in all locations by December 31st, 2022. This is a SMART goal. You have a number, how many, you will have where, and you have a time date. Number 3, we want 10 women to graduate from our sewing program with their own sewing machines by December 31st, 2022. Number 4, we want 50 new donors for our organization by December 31st, 2022. Number 5, we want 10 new diamond donors. So diamond donors may be a donor that contributes a certain amount. Number 6, we want 40 women attending our weekly women's meeting by December 31st, 2022. Number 7, we want 30 young girls attending our weekly young women's meeting by December 31st, 2022. And number 8, we want 3 women's workshops by December 31st, 2022. All right, and so these are just example goals for an entity. But then each department, if there is a women's program, then the women's program, they create their own goals. And if there is a men's program, if there is an education program, if there is a donor and sponsorship program, and so each department, they create their own goals in accordance to and in line with the vision and the annual goals for the full entity. But then you need to ask the question, how do we do it? If we want 400 children graduating from our schools by December 31st, 2022, what do we have to do? Well, then you go back to your teachers, your instructors. What do you have to teach them? What kind of homework do you need to give them? How can you prepare them? Okay, and so this is your strategy of what you do every day. This is what helps you make your decisions. And so you have your goal, 400 children graduating. And so what do you do this month? What do you do this week? What do you do today? How do I know what to do and what not to do? Because I have very clear SMART goals that I want to accomplish for my entity. And so therefore, I say yes to some things and I say no to other things. It becomes very easy when you have goals. And then you have a strategy. And so the goals and the strategy might change. That's why about every quarter, about every 4 months, you evaluate your goals and you evaluate your strategy. Sometimes our goals are not realistic. Sometimes they're not relevant. Sometimes they're too big. Sometimes they're too small. And so you evaluate the goals of each department every 4 months. And are we accomplishing our goals? What about this strategy? You said that you would do this during these 4 months. Have you done it or not? And this holds the staff accountable, and it holds the director accountable. Here's another example, 2 healthcare outreaches in all locations by December 31st. So, to do it, what must you do? You got to contact the directors, put it in the calendar. What kind of supplies do you need? 10 women to graduate from the sewing program, all right? You don't have sewing machines. So that means you have to raise money. If you're an organization, you have to raise money for sewing machines. That brings you to, you want 50 new donors. How are you going to do that? And so you see, this makes, when you have goals and you have strategies, it makes it very clear, very easy for you to make a plan. And so I need 50 new donors by the end of 2022. So how am I going to do that? And then you create, what am I going to do in January, February, March, April, to try to get new donors. All right, and then who do you need? Are you going to do it by yourself, or can you enlist your staff or someone else to help you do it? And so this is just an example of establishing goals and then creating a strategy. So the goal is, what are we going to do? The strategy is, how are we going to do it? And then you put it on the calendar. You must put it on a calendar. When are we going to do it? And that forces you, when you put it on the calendar, it forces you to move forward to do what you said you're going to do. And then staff, who do you need? And then finally, the budget. How much does it cost? All right? And so this is what I used to do with my organization, and this is what I would train other organizations to do. Every department goes through this process in October and November each year. Each department prepares their goals, activities, and budget for the next year. All right, so each department, children's department, women's department, community outreach department, sponsorship department, admin department, they all prepare their goals. What do they want to accomplish by the end of the year? And what activities do they want to do by the end of the year? And what is the budget? How much will it cost? This really, it means that in October and November, all of the staff are doing their work for that month, but they're also thinking to the end. They're thinking more than a year in advance. And they're trying to imagine, they're comparing what they did in this year, and do they want to do the same? Do they want to change it? Do they want to do more? And then number 3, every department submits their annual plan to the leaders, to the directors, the board of directors. And the board of directors will look. So this happens usually in November, the middle of November. The board of directors will look at all of the plans, everything that the departments want to do, and they will say yes or no. All right? They say yes or no according to the calendar, yes or no according to the budget, the money, yes or no according to the time, yes or no whether it's according to the vision of the entity or not. Remember, how do we make decisions? We make decisions based upon the vision of the entity. And then number 4, the leaders of the entity meet, the board of directors, they discuss and they decide regarding the activities and budget for each department. And number 5, then the board of directors of the entity, they either accept or they reject the annual plan of the department. Now, in my organization, the board of directors almost always rejected our first proposal of the department, because everybody thinks big. We want everybody to think big, but sometimes the board of directors think, no, if we look at the calendar, it's just too much. It's too much to do in 1 year. Or this day, this activity will conflict with another activity. Or too much money. We were an NGO. We were a nonprofit organization, so we had to raise our money. Somebody had to find the money for all of these activities. And so we would try to think, is this something that we can do for next year or not? And often we would send the first proposal back to the department. We say, no, you have to cut 10%. Cut 10% of your activities, cut 10% of your budget. And then they send it back to the board of directors. Sometimes we had to do this 2 or 3 times until finally the board of directors felt, yes, this is something that our entity can do, whether it's a business, an NGO, a church, or an organization. And then in the end, the annual plan for the entity in each department is shared with the staff or the church, if it's a church or organization. And so you share it. All right? And so you bring all the staff together and you say, this is our vision. This is the vision of our entity. This is where we're going. And this is what we're going to do next year. And this is what, then you invite the department heads. They come and they share what they're going to do, what their department is going to do next year. And then in every January, we bring our organization. We had branches all over the country. And so we would bring everybody together, and then we would share the vision and the goals and the strategy with everybody from our organization. What this does, we say it puts everybody on the same page. It gives everybody the same vision and the same focus and the same priority, and it's very clear as to how we will make decisions for our entity and for our department in the next year. And so remember, we make decisions and we choose priorities each month and each week according to the annual plan. And if you look at this final slide, this is the full process. We begin with vision, then goals, and then strategy, and then staff. By staff, I don't mean people that we pay. Sometimes we use volunteer staff. And then number 5 is budget. How much is it going to cost? And then training. So some of our staff or some of our volunteers, they may need to be trained. So this is something that should be thought about before, should be part of the strategy, and goes into the budget. So in the budget, we already have training for staff or training for volunteers in the budget. And then overseeing. Okay, then we oversee it. That means somebody, this is usually the department head, will oversee the activities and the staff in the department. And the director or the director's assistant will oversee the department heads. And so usually there is a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting, and there is a review. What have you done? What did you say you would do? What have you done? What did you say you would spend? What did you spend? And so you get a report. That is the overseeing part of it. And then there's the evaluation. You're spending too much, and so we need to adjust. Or you didn't do what you said you would do. Why? And so we need to evaluate. And then number 9 is the adjustment. Okay, so this is the 9-step process to getting your business, organization, school, or church organized and effective. You want to be efficient. Efficient is the best use of resources, financial resources, time resources, and human resources, and you want to be effective. You want to produce results, all right? And so I hope this helps you, and I do want you to know that me and my associates are available to your entity to help you get organized and have great success in the following year. And even if it's partway through the year, we can come in and help you prepare for the next stage, all right? And so if you have any questions, you can contact me, all right? Thank you so very much, and I hope this was helpful for you, and I do wish you great success in everything that you do.